because I love vanilla ice cream. And also, French Montana is one of my bad boy artists that has like...
The way Diddy put it essentially was that he can make people go missing. Listen, between Shannon Sharpe growling and grunting with Michelle, and supposedly Meek Mill and Diddy. I don't ever have to hear another audio clip for the rest of 2024. Let's get perspective now. Okay, calls friend of more than 35 years, how much more trouble is Diddy in right now in your estimation compared to when he was first arrested and indicted on these charges? I think from the outside looking in, it appears like it's gotten worse from the prosecutor's perspective. I think it's largely the same in what's shaping up to be one of the most controversial celebrity crossovers in recent memory. Former NFL star and prominent sports commentator Shannon Sharpe now finds his name unexpectedly linked to the mounting legal chaos surrounding music mogul Diddy Combs. Sean is rough, he hits women and you do what he says or he will punish you, and that's why Cassie and others were not willing participants. At the breakoffs, Dawn was testifying about a couple of really interesting things. She talked about a guy named One Top, who was the guy who supplied Diddy with lots of ketamine, cocaine, Molly weed, and Diddy would get a Louis Vuitton bag, one of those bags a toiletry bag, and he would put the drugs in there, take it all around the world. And then she was asked, well, did you ever see did he pay One Top money? She said yes, but on cross-examination they said you told the government you never saw did he pay money to one? And she said, look, you know I don't remember that, and it's true witnesses sometimes don't remember. That's an important part for prosecutors, because it goes to racketeering. She also mentioned guns. She said she has seen Diddy carrying guns around his waist, but then she was asked, did you ever see him brandish a gun? She said no. Did you ever see him shoot a gun? She said no, and again, the specter of all of this is racketeering. A shocking twist has emerged in Diddy's already intense legal battle. Leaked footage, allegedly from Sharpe's own bodyguard, is making waves across social media and raising eyebrows. The video appears to show Sharpe at one of Diddy's now infamous private parties, but it's not just a casual appearance that's causing concern. Some believe what was captured in that footage may suggest Sharpe was present during ritualistic or highly inappropriate activities. So what exactly is going on? How is Shannon Sharpe tied to Diddy's world of celebrity excess and now controversial private gatherings? And could this leaked footage signal deeper implications, not just for Diddy, but for Sharpe as well? Let's break it all down. If Cassie called you today, would you answer? Cassandra, Ventura's one-time best friend, Carrie Morgan, facing questions outside court Monday. Morgan testifying inside that she witnessed Sean Combs beat Ventura twice and alleges Combs even attacked her, prompting her and Ventura to sever ties. The jury also seeing these disturbing images of Ventura, including swollen lips, bruised eyes, and bruises about her body. The images considered key evidence in prosecutors' trafficking case against Combs, the defense arguing the couple was in love, though their relationship was flawed and fraught with hostility. Combs's lawyers saying Ventura willingly took part in so-called off-sex parties. Newly released evidence images showing much of what prosecutors say were part and parcel of those offs: baby oil, lubricant, cash, and drugs, including ketamine and MDMA. The prosecution says these images were from Combs's arrest last September at the Park Hyatt in Midtown, and she could never. He had the power dynamic. Not only was he 17 years older, but he called the shots. She couldn't do anything without his approval. He had her entire career in his hand. Yeah. I mean, there's also all these arguments that, well, why didn't she leave? She did. We have evidence of her attempting to leave on multiple occasions. Right? And people have to factor in there's something called Stockholm Syndrome. If life was so simple, it would be black and white. It is not. Life exists primarily in those gray areas. She was afraid. This man pulled guns on her, which she admitted today, and threatened her, her mom, her family. What would you do if you were the person that stood between you, your family getting hurt, or you enduring another day of this? How many of us would not sacrifice ourselves for the betterment of our family? People do it every day, but in this situation, because he was wealthy, and they saw her living what appeared to be a glamorous life, people are judging her improperly. The video that sparked this wildfire allegedly comes from someone who knows Sharpe intimately, his own bodyguard. According to early reports, the bodyguard either leaked or facilitated the leak of a short but visually disturbing video clip. In the footage, Shannon Sharpe is seen at what appears to be a dimly lit, highly exclusive gathering at one of Diddy's properties. People familiar with Diddy's parties describe them as extravagant, secretive, and often beyond anything seen in the public. Shannon Sharpe's bodyguard just dropped a whole bomb on everybody. He came out and tweeted, F that NDA. Shannon met that girl when she was 17 at a damn Diddy party. What makes that video particularly explosive is the atmosphere and behavior being captured. Eyewitness accounts claim the footage features suggestive undertones with guests partaking in what some interpret as symbolic or ritual-like behavior, a claim that has not been independently verified, but is being widely speculated. While we must stress that the video's authenticity and full context remain unverified, its mere existence, combined with Diddy's ongoing legal troubles, has thrown gasoline on an already raging fire. There's not enough to say that he committed racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking, now prostitution, across state lines is an easier charge to prove, and Combs's former assistant David James is set to resume his testimony today, after recounting just yesterday that Ventura told him that she could not leave Combs because he oversees so much of her life. James also saying to that Combs told him that he found Cassandra Ventura to be, quote, moldable. Up until now, Shannon Sharpe has remained silent on the matter. He hasn't issued a public statement, addressed the footage on any of his platforms, or responded to media inquiries. This silence has opened the floodgates of speculation. Social media sleuths are analyzing every recent photo, podcast appearance, and interview, looking for signs or clues. Has Sharpe distanced himself from Diddy? Was he just an innocent guest, or is there more beneath the surface? Who you think going to walk somebody got to take the L for this year? Is it going to be Nettie? Is it going to be Dirk? Is it going to be Shannon Sharpe? Or he just gonna settle cause he freaky too, but somebody got to take the L? This year, you hear what I'm saying now, Dirk, Diddy, or Shannon Sharpe. They just got Chris Brown. Shout out to Chris Brown. Sharpe, best known for his sharp takes and unapologetic personality on shows like Undisputed and Club Shay. Shah has always been a strong presence in the sports and media landscape. His fans are now split. Some are defending him, saying the footage is taken out of context, while others are demanding answers. But in today's digital
power, and we share the information with all of the young up-and-coming kids that want to be in this industry, because this is...
Silence can sometimes speak louder than words. Taking the stand first today was Dawn Richard again, who also testified last week. She is a former protege of Diddy and a member of his girl group, Danny Kane. Dawn testified that she saw Diddy frequently violently attack his ex-girlfriend, Cassie. Dawn says he would punch her, choke her, drag her, slap her in the mouth. I saw him kick her, punch her in the stomach. She said the violence could be prompted by a variety of reasons. It could be Cass speaking up for herself. It could be random. We didn't even know where it came from. Dawn told the jury that she saw members of Combs' security staff also witness him be violent towards Cassie. Quote, they wouldn't react, they wouldn't do anything. Charges should be brought against them. Carrie testified that she was her best friend and told her, you need to get out of this relationship, you need to leave. And she said, I can't, he controls my career, my apartment, my car, everything, and I cannot leave. That ties everything together. So far for the government, it brings her to the point where she can't get out. She's stuck in this relationship and it ties, so it brings into all everything, and that the government needed, and ties that all together with the trafficking. So it's what the government needed to tie their case together. So far, let's zoom out for a moment. This leak comes as Diddy Combs faces multiple lawsuits alleging everything from misconduct to human trafficking. These legal battles have revealed what prosecutors describe as a pattern of predatory behavior stretching back years. Several accusers, including Cassie, whose lawsuit was among the first to break through the media noise, have come forward painting a picture of a toxic, manipulative environment masked by wealth, fame, and exclusivity to topics. I want to discuss the J-Lo of it all because it is relevant. Cassie even mentioned bringing holding an arm for him to go into a club, which is the same thing everyone suspected J-Lo had to do. Their initial contact was in regards to a employee-employer relationship. He put her under contract for a 10-album deal, which anyone in the music industry knows is equivalent to kidnapping and servitude. 10 albums, it would take you a lifetime to complete that. You have people whose body of work right now is 30 years and they have 10 albums. 10 albums means he owned her, and it is not hard for her to dispute that fact, because look where she is. She got a record deal in 2006. She put out one album. This man was on top of the world at that time. Where are the other 9 albums? It was never in his intent to put those albums out, so this is where the racketeering falls into place. You converted this professional contract into servitude, and used this woman for your pleasure at your will, and then abused her on top of it. You cannot bridge the lines between professionalism and dealing with someone who's your subordinate. It creates a quid pro quo kind of situation. Now with leaked video, Evidence pulling other celebrities into the spotlight, the stakes are rising. The concern is not just about what he did but who else may have been involved, present or complicit, and this is where the Shannon Sharpe angle becomes crucial. Was Sharpe clearly an attendee unaware of the deeper layers of what was happening around him, or could this footage place him in a legal or ethical gray zone? It's not like a group of kids in a neighborhood all conspired to start moving some illicit material, some illicit white stuff in and out of the neighborhood, to make a few bucks on the side, and then that the prosecutor has to prove that there's somehow an organization here that's engaged in some sort of illegal activity. What the feds have said in this case is that Diddy had this business empire already up and running, and selling in clothing and making records and doing all this stuff that he's known to have been doing and making millions and millions of dollars. Everybody knows that the enterprise existed. All you have to prove then is that there was something nefarious and illegal taking place under the umbrella of Shankal's Enterprises, or any of Star Island. Whatever, he has different sub businesses and everything, so that's where he's really hamstrung himself. He's his own worst enemy. He's a victim of his own success. The public's reaction has been predictably intense, fast, emotional, and deeply divided within hours of the footage going viral. Hashtags like Diddy Exposed and Shannon Sharpe were trending across social platforms. Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube lit up with reactions, commentary breakdowns, conspiracy theories, and countless hot takes. It's the coercive aspect of it as well, and that's really what I think Nada was getting at, is that you're trapped. You're not able to do what you would ultimately like to do. You're not able to enjoy the freedom that you would otherwise be able to enjoy, except for the fact that there's this giant 800-pound gorilla in the form of Diddy and his business enterprise, kind of suffocating you and holding you to the ground. That's what Nada is getting at. And yes, that could be problematic. And here's the deal, not only was he her boss, not only did he use her for his own deviant desires, but then he housed her separately. So how is she your girlfriend when you make her? I mean, on one occasion she admitted that he had beat her up. Some longtime fans of Sharpe feel blindsided, struggling to reconcile his image as a disciplined athlete and respected media personality with the murky, hedonistic party atmosphere shown in the clip. Others are cautioning against a rush to judgment, urging people to wait for the full story. Some names like just by first name, which we have now learned that several of the guys were in the TV show Gigolos. Several of the guys that were photographed and released were on that show. There's even a guy on there that was like a very popular Miami promoter. One of them they named as being the ER that was a part of the Intercontinental beatdown. So one of those guys was a part of that, which you would assume that maybe that guy's going to testify. I mean, don't we want to know, from the third person? Like what?
Some nice cuisine for the halftime break. If you want to do it buffet style, for everybody that's hungry.
Exactly went down that day. Adding fuel to the fire, a friend of Cassie has come forward with testimony that aligns with some of the troubling behavior previously alleged, suggesting that the scene in the leaked video may only scratch the surface. Meanwhile, even Jennifer Lopez's name has surfaced in the chatter, with internet sleuths speculating on her past ties to Diddy and what she may have witnessed or known. Nothing has been confirmed, but the ripple effects are undeniable. We got Jaguar right after they said you supposed to be in this, mother, I'm up in this here. Wow, they done brought everybody. How are you? The Jaguar race show, here we are. Okay, oh, you got some security too. Oh wow, Jaguar came with security to. What's becoming increasingly clear is that the boundary between public image and private actions is under intense scrutiny, and fans are demanding transparency and accountability. Not just from Diddy, but from everyone within his orbit. So where does this leave Shannon Sharpe? He's earned his place as one of the most influential voices in sports media, known for his sharp analysis, on-screen chemistry with co-hosts, and nonsense charisma. But as history has shown, it only takes one viral moment to unravel years of public trust. You want to know what's going to happen next? No more filter from this point forward. Any word that I say, I ain't holding back, and I ain't saying alleged either. Y'all said I was lying the first time. Now it turns out I'm telling the truth. You still don't want to admit that I was right, but you don't want to admit that you was wrong. Just keep ruining your lives with the truth. And here we go. Shout out to Cat Williams, shout out to Linnell Campbell, that's good, shout out to Kanye, yay West, shout out to my very good friend Fred Hampton Jr., the chairman of the board for the Black Panther Party, free them all. Power to the people. Right now, networks and brand sponsors are likely watching every development, even in the absence of direct wrongdoing. Association with a scandal of this magnitude can cost careers through lost endorsements, public backlash, and shifts in reputation. Whether this moment fades into a footnote or escalates into something far more damaging hinges. On what unfolds next, will Sharpe address the situation publicly, will more footage or testimonies emerge, and perhaps, most critically, will authorities decide to dig deeper? Jaguar Wright is at Diddy's trial. I get a lot of people asking, where is Jaguar Wright all the time, and I just found out this morning, she actually made it to Diddy's trial. I really feel like this is a full circle moment, because I literally remember about 6 or 7 years ago when Jaguar Wright said that Diddy was a trafficker. Before we knew anything, so honestly it came to a shock to me this morning, being able to see her be present at Diddy's trial, and she is going to get to watch this in real time. This entire situation points to a deeper problem within elite entertainment circles. Diddy's case has already exposed what many describe as a culture of silence, protection, and unchecked power. Now with footage implicating other high-profile individuals, it's clear that more than just one man may be under scrutiny. Hollywood and the music industry have long thrived on glamour and exclusivity, but behind closed doors, disturbing patterns sometimes take root. With the rise of whistleblowers, social media, and digital transparency, these once hidden worlds are being pulled into the light. It's day 7 of the Diddy trial, and Diddy's former personal assistant, David James, is giving his cross-examination testimony against Diddy. Looks like Diddy's team is dropping that he might be a co-conspirator that ended up taking a deal to snitch on Diddy. Diddy's lawyer starts out by saying, "You didn't tell this all the first time they told me to stop, to not say anything that would incriminate me. Look at the notes from your interview, read it to yourself, and then look up at me. Okay, how do you recognize Suge Knight? I listened to hip-hop. Were you drinking or smoking? No sir. Your mind was clear as it could be working 20 hours a week at 4 o'clock a.m. Troke opens the door. Suge Knight is a few cars over. Window open. Troke says, "I'm Biggie's boy." And then Suga recognizes him and gives him a dab. What's a dab? A handshake. I love mundane questions. Where did you travel with Mr. Combs? Ibiza, London? St. Tropez. Were these occasions business-oriented? What were you hired as a personal liaison? But I was the personal assistant. He met with a high-level roster of people. Right, second understatement of the day. He met with a who's who. It's important that he be prepared for these meetings. Right, yes, it was important that he be on time. No, we'd change meetings to fit the schedule all the time. When he didn't want to show up at a certain time, he had security because people wanted to touch him. Right. A video leaked not by a tabloid, not by a news outlet, but allegedly by Shannon Sharpe's own bodyguard, has thrown a spotlight on a figure many saw as untouchable. The footage reportedly shows Sharpe at one of Diddy's notorious parties, gatherings that have long been whispered about but rarely brought into public view with such intensity. The claims attached to this footage, whether symbolic, ritualistic, or simply suspicious, have stirred a powerful storm of speculation, concern, and debate. Sharpe has now had another accuser come out against him, this woman right here, Michelle, but the one that the bodyguard is referring to is Gabby. So Gabby's attorney Tony Busby and Shannon Sharpe have been going back and forth, releasing some really condemning evidence from both sides. Then Michelle came forward with her accusations, and the response was that she is absolutely obsessed with Shannon, and even conspired to murder her own husband so she could be with him. Then Shannon's own bodyguard came out and said, F that ND, and that's a non-disclosure agreement, where you say that you're not going to say anything about anything that you saw or witnessed. But he said, yo, Shannon met this girl when she was 17 years old at a Diddy party. This whole situation just keeps getting wilder and wilder, and I feel like Cat Williams might have been warning Shannon specifically when he was on the Shay Shay podcast that this was all about to happen. So far, Sharpe has remained silent. That silence is echoing louder by the day, and in the court of public opinion, silence often speaks volumes. People are asking, was Sharpe aware of what was going on at these parties? Was he merely a guest, or something more? And most importantly, what does this mean for public trust in the figures we place on pedestals? Meanwhile, Diddy himself is entangled in a growing list of lawsuits and allegations, each more troubling than the last. The leaked video involving Sharpe may not only implicate more individuals, but could serve as yet another crack in the carefully curated image that shielded these events for years. So you're telling me that it's a strategy to make money by personally getting into a relationship? I think it's a shakedown. I think it's a shakedown. What? Do you think this only friends girl has integrity? Are you high integrity? And I think this is _ shakedown. That's I know I said I was going to reserve my ER, but I think I just got a little emotional. Now that you said that, I think it's a shakedown. It doesn't seem right. I think it's a shakedown. And isn't this attorney hasn't he gone after other high-profile men as well? This incident also forces us to confront broader questions. What kind of behavior has been normalized under the cover of celebrity culture? How many others knew about what was happening and chose to look the other way? Whether this leads to criminal accountability or just public reckoning, it's clear that this moment is bigger than a single video. It's a reflection of a system where influence, secrecy, and privilege often walk hand in hand. Shannon Sharpe, P. Diddy, Tupac Shakur, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Michael Jackson, Kobe Bryant, and the list goes on. Is it me or am I tripping? Like, I want to know, like, excuse me, I want to know why would a get some money when they start getting some money, right? They all of a sudden become a they never had no history of or nothing, and 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10. A man with some money ain't got a nobody because he could just go buy whatever he want. He can go buy the tech. Let's get perspective now. Okay, calls friend of more than 35 years. All right, the idea that you don't know somebody after that amount of time is an impossibility. The question is, will he be truthful now? We want to hear from you. Do you think Shannon Sharpe was simply caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time, a bystander in a world he didn't fully understand? Or do you believe there's more to this story that needs to be uncovered? So Diddy just got embarrassed in court again after the judge told him no to a mistrial and warned him to stop his silly little gimmicks. Diddy has been pulling all the stops to make sure this trial goes in his favor, and I'm not talking regular courtroom theatrics. He's pulling the dirtiest tricks in the book to either win the case or get a mistrial. He even allegedly handpicked one of the jurors and manipulated the system to ensure that the juror was selected. But guess what? Diddy's alleged magic juror just got kicked off the jury, and Diddy has been crashing out, but at this point his little tricks to turn the trial in his favor have been exposed, and the judge is no longer allowing him to play in the court's face. So what does this mean for Diddy? Is it over for him, or is there still a chance he gets that mistrial? Let's break it down. So since this trial started, Diddy's whole thing has been about looking for loopholes to either get the trial cancelled or win, and in the last few weeks of the trial he has been pushing hard for a mistrial for one reason or the other. However, it was his latest stunt that really had people wondering if Diddy had been playing a game of chess that we were not aware of all along. It all started when a jury member got kicked out of the trial for seemingly no reason. This juror was identified as juror number 6, and was one of 2 black men on the jury. His dismissal raised a lot of eyebrows, because a lot of people, especially Diddy supporters, felt like this was a shady move by the prosecution to prevent Diddy from getting a fair trial. However, it turns out that Diddy is the one who has been shady all along. So what really happened was that Juror 6 had apparently told lie after lie during the jury selection process, just so he could get a seat on the jury. But what really set the prosecutors off was when Juror 6 slipped up and told a court employee that Homa Times lived with his girlfriend in New Jersey. Now, as you all know, the trial is being held in Man. During the jury selection, each potential juror was asked where they lived because the jury pool needed to consist of people living in New York, where the trial is being held. So here's where it gets shady. Apparently, Juror 6 had told the court that he lived in the Bronx, which isn't exactly a lie, but it's not the entire truth either. He admitted to one of the court staff that he also lived with his girlfriend in New Jersey. The issue now is that if Juror 6 had come clean about his living arrangement in the beginning, the court would have investigated how much time he spends out of New York and how much time he spends in the state. This would have helped determine whether he was fit to be on the jury, but he leading got a seat on the jury. Because of that, Judge Aaron Subramanian had no choice but to throw him out of the trial and replace him with one of the alternates. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. According to reports, Diddy and his lawyers started crashing out after the judge made this decision. They even pulled the race card, claiming the prosecution was being prejudiced against Diddy, preventing him from receiving a fair trial. Since all of this went